today we'll be graphing quadratics in vertex form. So you'll know this one's vertex form because it will be one parenthesis with the quantity being squared. So a few key features in this form is that the number out in front, and this will be for the entire graphing section, the number out in front, if it's positive, that's what this says, it opens up, and if it's negative, it's going to open down. Your H and K is what we call is the vertex, and you do H is opposite left and right, K will be moving you up and down. And A, depending on A, it's either going to, your graph's going to be narrow or more wide. So on these steps down here, the first thing we're going to do is identify your vertex. Remember, H is opposite. If you look at the equation up here, it says X minus H. So when we write down, that's why we're going to say the opposite. So for number one, to label our vertex, we're going to say it's -9, 5. So the opposite is 5. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to choose an X on either side of your vertex here. And I always choose one above and one below. So I add and subtract 1 to my X value. That's your X value of your vertex. So that means I'm going to be plugging the numbers here of -10 and -8. And I actually plug it in my X here. So when you plug in -8 or -10 down here, both times you should be getting out 8 as a Y value. So if you type that in your calculator right now, you can see that both of these will be 8, and they should match every single time. So you only have to check one of these from now on. You won't have to plug both of them in to see. So I plotted the 3 dots over -10, up 8, and so I plotted all 3 of those, and you connect them in a U shape. So let's look at number 2. So again, my vertex, opposite of the inside number, that outside number that we're adding or subtracting. Again, pick one number smaller and the one number bigger, and plug those into this X spot right here. So I'm plugging a -2 into that spot. So if you type this right here into your calculator, or what you see right there, you should be getting out 3.5 for each time. So plot all 3 of your dots on a grid like this right here. And then it's pointing down because you'll see that your first coefficient right here, the A, is negative. And you should notice also that the 1/2 kind of looks a little bit wider, whereas the 3 made the graph look a little bit skinnier. So just one more practice of these. We're going to label our vertex 1, 3, and we're going to add and subtract 1. So I'm going to get 0 and 2, and plug that into your equation. Plug a 0 right there. Each time I get out 5, and go ahead and plot your dots. So I plotted it, and then, oh, I plotted it wrong. Hold on. Sorry. So I have right here, now you connect them, and the shape should be pointing up. I was thinking of a different problem. Sorry. So the domain for all these functions are going to be negative infinity to infinity. That means all real numbers. Like any number can go in these equations. Your range changes. Your range depends on where your vertex is. So we call that Y value your K here. So if it opens up, you're going to write it as K to infinity, putting a bracket on it. And if it opens down, like in question 2 up here, you're going to say negative infinity to K. So let's go ahead and write down our domain and ranges for all 3 problems. So as you see, the domain for all of them is negative infinity to infinity. Now the range is going to depend on what your Y value of the vertex was. So number 1 right here, you can see your Y value of the vertex is a 5, and it's pointing up. So we're going to say this one is a bracket with 5 to infinity. But number 2, it was pointing down, so we're still going to use the vertex to 4, but this time it's going to be negative infinity to 4, since it's pointing down. And number 3, vertex, and it's pointing up, so it's going to be the 3 to infinity 1. Now down here to write in vertex form, we're going to use the formula from above. All right, so this formula above, so we need to find A. So we're going to H and K are your vertex right here. And we're going to use the X and Y as your point. So we'll plug those into the X and Y spots, and then we should be able to solve it for A. So I plugged in my X and my Y and the H and K, and then you simplify 2 minus 1 squared, just gives you 1A. You have plus 2. So these are not one term. Do not combine those two. So instead, just subtract over that term, and your A equals -7. And now we're going to write it in the formula. So I plugged in my A right here, and then you plug in your vertex. This is your formula. Let's try another one. Plug it into the formula right here in order to find your A. So I plugged in the Y equals, that's your A, X, and then minus the negative became positive, squared, plus 6. And this will be 4 squared is 16. It attaches only to the A. Do not add it to the 6 in the back. That's still back there. Now we just need to solve. So subtract 6 from both sides and divide your 16. So your A equals negative 1/2. When we plug it in for our final answer, you'll have Y equals your A, and then plug in your vertex here. And that right there is your final answer.